Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another game I played on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online from Bad Deck Monday. And just a warning for all you people watching this video, as you can probably see by the length of the video, this is going to be an extremely long game. So this is one of my fairly new decks from Bad Deck Monday. This is going to be a deck I call ReuniKiss. It is Reuniclus and Togekiss, which seems like a very strange concept, and that's because it is. Togekiss has the Bright Veil ability, I think that's what it's called. Basically, when it's your active Pokemon, none of your Pokemon can be affected by your opponent's item cards. So you effectively block things like Pokemon Catcher, Tool Scrapper, any item cards that could potentially disrupt you. And then Reuniclus has Damage Swap. So basically, and we see a Pokemon Catcher, a new coin flip Pokemon Catcher to drag out that Solosis. But anyway, the goal of the deck is to push up this Togekiss with a Rock Guard. And since your opponent cannot play a Tool Scrapper to get rid of it, you just keep up your Togekiss with Rock Guard. You only do 30 damage with return, which is pretty pitiful. But basically you just sit there, and then if your opponent hits you and can't knock you out on one hit, then all you need to do is move the damage off with Reuniclus's Damage Swap, and then use Champions Festival, which I play 2 of in this deck, to heal off your Pokemon, and those max potions as well. And eventually you're going to grind your opponent down with Togekiss, just doing 30 damage, and you just survive over and over and over with Reuniclus's Damage Swap. Alright, so this is a lot to take in, okay? There are a lot of problems with my strategy. I mean, there are just tons and tons of problems. The first one's going to be, what if your opponent can just knock out Togekiss in one hit? And that is what we're going to see here. I am facing a Blastoise deck, and Blastoise is able to knock out Togekiss in one hit, which means my strategy just kind of goes out the window. And basically when I designed this deck, I told myself, you know what? I don't really care if I take an auto loss to a Blastoise deck. I think we can beat 2 of the main archetypes, Darkrai and Plasma, since I had those Silver Mirrors that I just discarded. There's really no point in playing them. But Silver Mirror on a Togekiss is an auto win against Plasma, since they can't Tool Scrapper it away. They can't Catcher or Escape Rope to move the Togekiss, so it just sits there and returns for 30 until they lose, since it's not affected by Team Plasma Pokemon. Darkrai only does 90 damage, so you just sit there with the Rock Guarded Togekiss, and you just eventually win because you can Damage Swap. I also play Mr. Mime to block bench damage, so we have those 2 matchups covered. Everything else is just a loss. All right, there's nothing to it. You just lose to everything else. And I accept this because it's Bad Deck Monday. There's nothing really important. We're just playing to have fun. Alright, so now, I'm up against the Blastoise deck. And, I'm not just going to give up. Alright, we're going to try to find some way to win here still. So, my opponent has not gotten a Blastoise out yet, but there are 3 energy on the Black Hermie X. I wasn't too concerned about losing my Solosis because it's not very effective, Reuniclus that is, against Blastoise when they just knock out in one hit. But I will get a Togekiss out and return for a mighty 30 damage. Now I do have 1 Sigilyph in the deck. It does have that Safeguard ability. Prevents all effects of attacks, including damage, done to it by your opponent's Pokemon EX. So really Blastoise only has 1 option against Sigilyph. Well, it has 2 options. First one is to attack with Blastoise. Second one is to play a catcher or an escape rope to get around it. So Sigilyph is actually pretty disruptive against this kind of a deck. So he's going to be really my only hope of trying to do something here. So we're going to promote him. I already have 2 Psychic Energy on there. Now you may be wondering what a lot of these cards are doing in my deck. Number 1 is that Arkin in the discard pile. That does serve a purpose. Don't worry, it's not just a random card I threw in. To put it bluntly, this deck doesn't do enough damage to win before it decks itself out. I played a lot of games where I used this deck. I executed my strategy perfectly, but return forces you to draw until you have 6 cards. So I actually ran out of cards every time before I could take 6 prizes. So I needed to put in some sort of mechanic to prevent myself from decking out. So the simplest way I could think of was to run, as we do Psychic there for 60, I run a 1/0/1 Empoleon line, which has that diving draw ability. Discard a card from your hand and then draw 2 cards. And then we run that 1 Arkin with Prehistoric Call, which takes it out of the discard pile and puts it onto the bottom of your deck. So every turn, I can draw the Arkin, discard it with Empoleon, and then use Prehistoric Call to put it back into the deck. And effectively, I will never lose my deck out, because I can always put a card back into my deck, recycling this combo over and over and over. So that is really the only purpose of the Empoleon line and the Arkin. There are 3 cards put in my deck just to try to prevent myself from decking out. Alright? So now that explanation's out of the way. P.S. I also lose to Garbodor. There's no question about that. Shutting off my abilities beats me, plain and simple. But we do see my opponent pretty much playing his hand down to 0. Looks like he's going to Superior Energy Retrieval and power up Blastoise for a Hydro Pump. And that is bad news for me. Now I have a decision to make. Do I just kind of charge ahead with Empoleon and try to knock out the Blastoise? Or should I don't know, maybe set up another Togekiss? There's really no good option here. I really have nothing I can do. So I'm going to promote the Piplup. Draw a rare candy. So let's see, I'm going to Skyla. I have some options here. I can Skyla. I probably should have used Empoleon's Diving Draw before playing this Skyla. This was silly of me. If I hit a rare candy, or if I hit an Iris off of my 2 cards from Diving Draw, I would have been able to Ultra Ball for another Pokemon, and then Attack Command for 140. That would have been enough. But I made the mistake of not doing that. Turns out I didn't draw the Iris, but I definitely did that out of order. Instead, I decided to grab Champions Festival to discard my opponent's Tropical Beach, potentially lock him out of the game if he does not draw a supporter. So there's that. Now I did get hit by a Hydro Pump here. My opponent really didn't do anything else there. I do know he has a water in hand from the Superior Energy Retrieval earlier. Not sure why he didn't play that out, but that's alright. We're going to go ahead and use Diving Draw, discard, probably a Switch, and let's see, what do we want to get rid of? So I'm going to Ultra Ball, get rid of, I don't even know if it's worth playing an Ultra Ball here. I might need Reuniclus at some point. It could end up in a weird situation, so I'm actually just going to attach to Togepi and Chorus for a fresh 8 cards. And then we can actually Attack Command and wipe out this Blastoise and leave my opponent with no energy acceleration. So Empoleon definitely, worth its while so far. As I go ahead and draw my first prize of the game. This is going to be a mighty struggle to even get one more prize this game. I really don't know what I'm going to do. And my opponent just attaches and passes. So I'm going to evolve into Togekiss. And we'll see what else I can do here. I have another diving draw I can use. I'm going to play a Skyla. You can see there's not much left in terms of options for me. I can grab a rare candy and then play Togekiss onto my other Togepi. So we'll go ahead and Skyla for that. And, you know, from here, the problem is return only does 30 damage. So the only thing that can really do lots of damage is Empoleon, which is pretty silly. I have a decision to make here. My opponent only has one water in play. I'm going to diving draw first. Probably discard Ultra Ball since there's nothing to even search for anymore. But I could just attack command for, 90? Or I can save my Empoleon because I'm going to need it to prevent myself from decking out. We can switch into Togekiss, attach a Rock Guard, and then return for 30. But it seems pretty unlikely that my opponent can knock out Empoleon. He would need Rare Candy, Blastoise, 2 Energy, 2 Secret Sword for the knockout. I just don't think that's very likely. But there we see a computer search. Uh-oh. Discarding a Blastoise, though, so not too worried. Probably going to take a Juniper off of this. But this could be very, very devastating, as we do see the Juniper discarding a catcher. Probably wants to knock out Empoleon, so no need to play that. So if we see a Rare Candy, Blastoise, and 2 Energy, Keldeo EX can rush in and use Secret Sword for the knockout. But oof, okay. Did not get the Blastoise. And now this turn we need to switch into Togekiss and just save that Empoleon for later, because like I said, I will deck out very easily with this deck. So I need to save Empoleon for my master combo of Empoleon, Arcan, and not deck out. Alright, so we have that diving draw for 2 cards, discarding an Ultra Ball. And then I'll just return for 30. Not doing much. But we do have that Togekiss with the Rock Guard. So if he decides to attack into me, he will take 60 damage. And that'll set up for Empoleon's attack command. So this is kind of a relevant thing that's going on right here. My Champions Festival definitely working against me. If I had any other stadium in the game, I probably would have preferred it there. Except maybe Pokemon Center. I don't want to let him heal 20 off of things every turn. But man, I would prefer anything. Even like a Sky Arrow Bridge would be more useful right now than allowing my opponent to heal 10 off of everything. All I have to do is just kind of hope he forgets about it. Because if he heals, every bit of damage helps him. Because I'm only doing 30. But oh no, there's Champions Festival. Why? Oh man, this is the poor man's Worlds promo. It's not Tropical Beach, it's Champions Festival. Anyway, we do get hit with a Secret Sword for 110, but Keldeo takes 60. So there's that. I'm going to play the Level Ball and see there are 2 energy left. And I have that Max Potion in my hand. So we can diving draw 2 cards, discard Duosion probably because it's absolutely worthless at this point. My other closest prize. Alright, we draw the Psychic Energy. Gonna Max Potion the Togekiss, attached to it. And I have 1 card left in my deck, 6 cards in hand. No need to really do anything else. We're just going to return for a mighty 30 damage. Take that, Keldeo. And now, my opponent did get a Blastoise into play, and there is a superior energy retrieval. That is not good news for me. Fortunately, he had to discard 2 energy to play that, which are 2 energy he cannot get back any longer. But here, a 5 energy Secret Sword definitely knocks me out. Togekiss does have 140 HP, that is nice. But man, you gotta think, what am I doing at this point to actually be able to win the game? I have an Empoleon with 100 damage on it. I'm out of water energy, so a Max Potion is out of the question. I won't be able to attack with it if I Max Potion on the Empoleon. I only play like 2 water energy for some reason. I'm doing 30 damage a turn with return. I don't even have enough Pokemon left to use Champions Festival on my side. Gosh, what do I do? My opponent is going to be down to 2 prizes after this turn. The other Keldeo gets 2 energy on it. And alright, he does take another 60 from Rock Guard, and I believe forgets to use Champions Festival. So there's that. And here is where Arkin is going to save the day. Put him back into the deck. And return for 30. Piece by piece, we're going to take that Keldeo down. I'm looking, can I deck my opponent out at this point? Is he running out of energy cards? That is also a consideration. And I actually draw Solosis off of my prize, which is going to help a lot to perhaps give me an extra turn of survival. There is a Secret Sword for 110. Here's the beautiful combo, Empoleon Arkin. Of course, this could be any prehistoric call Pokemon. It could be Tortuga, could be a Lileep. But we have Arkin. I feel like he's the one who gets the least amount of love. We're going to put down the Solosis and then return for 30. Probably not going to help me too much, but who knows. I'm going to get hit by a Secret Sword for 110. And all I can do is promote Empoleon. And once again, we can Diving Draw and Prehistoric Call to prevent myself from decking out. Trying to do the math here. Right now, Attack Command is doing 80 damage, plus 50 from that Iris. That's 130. And Keldeo has 140 HP left. That is brutal. I wish I could just Iris and knock out Keldeo. I think I would just straight up win if I did that. But it has 140 HP. I'm 10 short of a knockout, and I have no more basic Pokemon I can put down. But fortunately, we can damage swap. Now, I didn't think this would actually happen in this game. Well, I didn't think most of this would happen this game. I thought I would just get like 6-0'd because my deck does 30 damage. But we're going to damage swap off of Empoleon onto my benched Pokemon. My bench is relatively safe unless my opponent plays Escape Rope. Then I just kind of lose. Pokemon Catcher Heads would also do it. I mean, my bench is pretty weak. But we're going to do all we can to try to win here. Move off all 100 damage. Force my opponent to have 2 more water energy to knock out Empoleon. And then we're going to play an N. Put him down to 1 card. And do the only thing we can do. Attack Command for 80. Not quite enough for a knockout, but we'll see what happens here. We see a level ball. Is that going to get anything? Looks like no. My opponent is actually really low on cards, so there is a chance this Empoleon could go the distance. With my Empoleon, Arkin, Togekiss, Reuniclus, Sigilif, Mr. Mime deck. This deck doesn't even make any sense. Yeah, I'm not even going to bother using damage swap here because if my opponent can attack, he just wins basically. And there is an Attack Command knocking out the Keldeo. Black Kirby X comes out. I get a Togepi off of the prizes. I have an Escape Rope in hand, which would actually be good if my opponent can bring up a bench Pokemon because I'm out of energy. But he just passes, and it's this good game. We're going to put down Togepi, play an Iris, and what just happened? Attack Command for 130 damage, and ReuniKiss wins the game on the back of Empoleon, Arkin, Sigilif, all these other cards. This is just one of those games where you just say, Pokemon just makes no sense sometimes. But, hope you guys enjoyed. This is one of the most ridiculous games I played in a very long time. I really am speechless at the end of this one. But I am Pooka from the Top Cut. Hope you enjoyed. I'll have some more videos for you guys soon, and I'll see you guys next time.